Everyone says you're calm, collected, low drama, but right now, if I could hear your actual internal dialogue, would it still sound like peace, or would it sound like a courtroom, a 24/7 trial, where you're the judge prosecuting yourself, where every emotion has to confess its sins before it gets permission to exist, where anger shows up, and you immediately cross-examine it? Stop and think about that, because here's the truth. The calmest person in the room is often the one having the loudest war inside. No shouting on the outside, no slammed doors, no dramatic exits, just a quiet face, a steady voice, while in your mind 10 different versions of you are arguing over what you should have said, what you must not say, and what will happen if you finally let your real reaction out. You rehearse the perfect comeback, then swallow it. You feel anger rise, then immediately negotiate against yourself. It's not worth it. Don't make it a problem. Stay composed. People see your silence and call it maturity. They call you peaceful, grounded, the stable one, but the truth is half the time you're not calm. You're contained. Picture this for a second. Someone's upset with you. Instead of getting defensive, you just go quiet. Your face stays neutral. You nod while inside your chest is burning. Later that night, you're replaying the conversation, rewriting it, saying all the things you never said, but to yourself, where nobody can hear. Would people still call you low drama if they could see that? Or would they finally see the overthinking, the scanning, every face in the room to make sure your presence never becomes a burden? How long have you been trained to do that? This is not about being a naturally chill personality. It's about survival. You didn't become calm by accident. You became calm because chaos around you demanded that you disappear, your own chaos. A parent who would go silent for days if you cried in front of them. A partner who would say, "You're being dramatic," the second your voice got shaky. Friend groups where the person who spoke loudest was always right and everyone else was weak. Your nervous system learned a rule. If I keep the peace out there, I have to carry the conflict in here. And your body's been paying the bill ever since. Blood pressure rises when you smile. Anxiety hides under a polished mask. You look like the rock for everyone else, while your own energy leaks away through sleepless nights, imaginary arguments, and constant self-doubt. You don't explode, you erode. So I ask you now, what would change if you stopped volunteering to be the container for everyone else's emotion? If you understood why you hold the war inside instead of letting even a fraction of it be seen? I'll tell you why this matters, because when you change one core behavior, when you stop abandoning your own reaction just to protect someone else's comfort, your relationships, your boundaries, and your sense of self do not just improve, they transform. Here's the shift. People praise your presence because it makes them feel safe. But who makes you feel safe? You think you're peaceful. But what if you're just the person who volunteered to be the battlefield? In the next part, we're going to expose exactly how that role was created and why it's so hard to walk away from it. And this is where your life becomes the perfect hiding place for everyone else's chaos. Because you're calm, you become the friend everyone calls at 2 a.m. They are shaking, crying, spiraling. You are half asleep saying, "It's okay, just breathe, tell me everything." You listen for an hour, you give them clarity. They hang up lighter, you stare at the ceiling, heavier. You go to work, exhausted, but you still answer the next call, because that is the role that pattern locks in. You become predictable, which means you become useful. Because you don't raise your voice, you become the partner who never starts an argument. They snap, they sulk, they throw emotion around like a storm, and you stand there steady. You say, "It's fine, we don't have to fight." You smooth it over, you swallow your reaction. Your nervous system is burning on the inside while your face says, "It's fine." Research calls it emotional suppression, but you call it being mature because you are great under pressure. You become that employee, the one they praise in meetings. She's a rock, he's unshakable. Deadlines move, clients explode, managers panic, and they dump it on your desk. You nod. You say, no problem. You stay late. You fix everything. Your presence calms the room, but your body pays the bill higher. Stress, higher tension, higher anxiety that no one ever sees. Watch the pattern. You don't react, so people feel safe offloading onto you. You stay composed, so they feel free to collapse. Because you don't complain, your needs become invisible. The environment quietly reorganizes around your silence, around your availability, around your predictable lack of boundary. You become the emotional shelter, and without noticing, you also become the emotional landfill. People don't ask, they just lean. As if your presence is an unspoken contract you didn't sign, but you keep renewing it every time you smile and say, no worries, when there is worry, every time you say, it's not a big deal when it is killing your energy. So I ask you now, when everyone else is using your calm as their shelter, where do you go with your storms? Where do you put the rage? You never express the grief. You never name the panic. You never show. And what happens to a person who becomes everyone's safe place except their own? In the next part, we're going to confront that cost and why breaking this contract feels so dangerous, and what happens to a person who becomes everyone's safe place except their own. Is this: you carry the cost alone. Here's the truth. The calmest person in the room is often the one having the loudest argument in their head. The thesis of this entire video is simple and it's brutal. The calmer you look on the outside, the more likely it is that the real conflict is happening inside you in silence where no one can see it. People look at your face and they see peace. They have no idea that behind your eyes there is a courtroom running 24/7. Stop and think, how many times have you been praised for being low drama, for being easy, for being chill? They say, you're so stable, so mature, so emotionally controlled. But the truth is they're complementing a mask, not your nervous system. They never see the drama you absorb, process, and swallow before it ever reaches the surface. They only see the reaction you didn't have, the explosion you didn't allow. You don't throw the plate, you hold your breath, you don't snap back. You rehearsed 10 versions of the reply in your head until your energy is gone. This is not about faking. It's about being trained to move every argument inward. You don't argue with people, you argue with yourself. You don't negotiate with reality. You negotiate with your own needs until they back down and disappear. Here's why this pattern feels so normal. If you grew up around someone unpredictable, a parent who would explode without warning, a caregiver who punished emotion, chaos disguised as love, you learned very early that your safety depended on your silence, so you became the regulator. You scan the room, you adjust your presence, you keep your reaction under control because any visible conflict felt like danger. Now imagine if someone could see the real footage, not the calm exterior, but the internal battlefield. The way your heart races while your voice stays soft, the way your jaw tightens while you say, it's fine, the way your body carries the panic. Your words refuse to express. How long have you been exiling your own anger, your own grief, just to keep other people comfortable? Over time, the world becomes dependent on that exile. Your family, your friends, your co-workers, they unconsciously rely on you not to explode, not to complain, not to destabilize anything. Your calm becomes a public service, an emotional infrastructure. And if you ever crack, if your mask slips for a second, people act shocked, offended, betrayed, as if peace was your permanent job description. So I ask you now, what happens the moment a person like you stops carrying the conflict alone, when your outside finally matches? Your inside, everything in your world changes. Relationships reorder, power shifts, illusions collapse. In the next section, we're going to break down exactly how that change unfolds and why your first honest boundary feels like an earthquake to everyone who built their comfort on your silence. And when that earthquake happens, people act shocked, but you need to understand why. Because this didn't start yesterday. This started the moment you became everyone's emotional shock absorber, the moment your calm became public property. You think you're just low drama, but the truth is you've been trained to carry the drama inside yourself. You became the place where other people's chaos goes to rest. Not because they respected you, but because you didn't explode, you didn't cry, you didn't make it about your emotion. You stayed available, so they kept coming. Stop and think about your role in most conversations. Someone is angry, they call you, someone is terrified. They text you, someone is confused, they pour it all out on you, and then say, wow, I feel so much better, and hang up. Where does all that energy go? It doesn't disappear, it sits in your body while you tell yourself, it's fine, I can handle it. This is emotional outsourcing. When people don't know how to regulate their own nervous system, they outsource regulation to you because your reaction is predictable. You won't shout, you won't walk away, you won't set a boundary. You will listen, you will soothe, you will absorb, and they have learned that your presence is their emergency exit from their own mind. Here's the mechanics of it. Predictability equals control. When people know exactly how you will react, they can plan around you. They can push you right up to your limit without fear of explosion. They can confess at 2 a.m. demand reassurance, ignore your needs because they trust one thing: you will stay calm, you will say yes, you will not make it uncomfortable. So I ask you now, are these relationships really built on mutual respect or on the control your calmness gives them? Some people do not want your truth, they want your function. They want your silence, your agreement, your steady reaction that keeps their world stable while your inner world shakes on the surface. You nod, you listen, you give wise sentences. You say, it's okay, I understand, but inside there is a fight. Am I overreacting? Should I say something if I speak up? Will they get upset? Will they leave? Will I become the problem? And that internal argument never stops. This is not about being a good person, it's about being a convenient person. Your mask of calm is protecting their comfort while attacking your nervous system. Research calls it fawning, appeasing to stay safe. But you call it being mature, being strong, being the rock, while your chest is tight and your sleep is broken. Now watch what happens when the rock moves. What happens when the shock absorber refuses to absorb, when your silence ends, when your first real no cuts through the room. That's when the transformation begins. And yes, it will feel dangerous at first. Carl Jung said something that should unsettle you. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Stop and think about that. If accepting yourself is terrifying, what have you been doing all these years when you present as the calm one, the stable one, the rock? You haven't been accepting yourself, you've been editing yourself. Jung called it the persona, the social mask, the version of you that is acceptable, non-threatening, easy to manage. The smile that says, I'm fine, the even tone that says, no problem, the silence that says, I understand, when inside your chest your emotion is pounding. On the walls, your calm is not random. It is a carefully constructed mask built to keep you available to everyone else and invisible to yourself. Here's the truth. The calm you're proud of is often the most disciplined performance you've ever learned. You don't raise your voice not because you have no reaction, but because you were trained that your reaction has no value. You don't say you're hurt because you learned early that your pain is an inconvenience. You don't show anger because in your world, anger was punished, mocked, or used against you. So you became peaceful on the outside, you became low drama, you became the one who listens, absorbs, stabilizes. But this is not about you being naturally serene. It's about you being strategically safe. That calm is a boundary, but it's pointed inward, against yourself. Watch what happens inside your body. Your irritation, your quiet resentment, your exhaustion. These aren't proof that you're failing at being good. They're proof that your mask and your truth are too far apart. And your body knows it. Blood pressure climbs when you suppress emotion. Stress hormones stay elevated. Your nervous system is already screaming that the gap is dangerous. Think of the nights you replay conversations that never happened, the arguments you fight in your head while your mouth says, "It's okay, don't worry about it." That internal conflict is not random anxiety, it's a diagnostic signal. Your inner self is saying, "I was erased again." So I ask you now, what if the part of you you're most proud of, your calm, is actually the part that's been most edited, most censored, most controlled by other people's comfort? What if your famous stability is just evidence of how early you learned to fawn, to appease, to disappear, so other people wouldn't explode? Here's the pattern. Interrupt. Your calm is not fake kindness. It's a protective layer you built in rooms where being loud, needy, or honest costs you love, safety, or belonging. The real shift. Your irritation is not your enemy. It's your map. In the next part, we're going to use that map to see which relationships are built with you and which are built with your mask. So now stop and think. Are you actually low drama, or have you just learned to carry all the drama inside your own head where no one can see it? You say you hate conflict, but how many wars are you fighting silently every single day? How often do you say, "It's fine," when your chest is tight, your jaw is locked, and your whole body is screaming that it is not fine at all? How many times do you smile? Not stay calm on the outside and then replay the same conversation for hours later, saying in your mind what you wish you'd had the courage to say out loud. You don't explode. You rehearse. You rewrite. You punish yourself with the words you never spoke. So I ask you now, who activates that internal storm the most? Who are the people you never argue with, but always feel tense around? The friend you can't say no to, the parent who doesn't take things well, the partner you walk on eggshells with because one honest sentence could change the whole relationship. You never fight with them, yet you leave every interaction drained, heavy, and strangely guilty, as if simply existing was too much. Here's the truth. That tension is not random. It's the cost of your self-betrayal. How many plans do you agree to that you don't want? How many late-night calls do you answer listening for an hour, 2 hours absorbing their emotion, their crisis, their chaos? And when it's your turn, you say, "It's nothing, I'm just tired." You apologize. When you're the one hurt, you say, "It's not a big deal." When it is your boundary that was crossed, your value that was ignored, this is not about being a good person, it's about survival. Your nervous system learned that appeasement keeps you safe. So you stay calm, you stay agreeable, you stay available. Your presence becomes a cushion for other people's emotion, because your body learned long ago that if you make everyone comfortable, you might not be rejected, attacked, or abandoned. You call it being mature. You call it being the stable one. But the truth is, a lot of what you call being easygoing is your nervous system in emergency mode, choosing silence instead of reaction, choosing the mask instead of the risk of being real on the outside. You look peaceful on the inside. Your heart rate is up. Your thoughts are racing. Your energy is collapsing. Watch what happens if you slow this down. Film yourself for a week. Mute the sound. No explanations, no context. Just your behavior. Would it look like love, or would it look like someone trying very hard not to be abandoned? And if you don't like the answer, wait until you see what happens when you finally let the sound back on. Because when the sound comes back on, you finally hear the cost, not the cost to your reputation, the cost to your nervous system. Every time you said it's fine when it was not fine, your body heard the truth and your body paid the bill. Every forced yes, every no. You swallowed every late night reply when you were exhausted but didn't want to seem distant every time you comforted someone while you were quietly falling apart. That's not neutral. That is self-betrayal on repeat. Stop and think, how many times in a single week Do you override yourself like that 10 times 50? You smile when you want silence. You agree when your whole chest tightens in protest. You stay available, polite calm, while your inner reaction is screaming for a boundary you never speak. Here's what your nervous system is actually hearing. Threat. Imagine if your energy was visible. Every time you stay calm for someone else while you are not calm, inside a small, glowing fragment breaks off you and floats into their hands. Tiny, invisible pieces of your life force leaving you one by one. One for the favor you didn't have time for, one for the conversation you didn't have capacity for, one for the apology you gave just to keep the peace. It looks small in the moment. But over months, over years, you wake up and wonder why you feel hollow. Here's the truth. That's why you're tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. This is not about being busy. It's about being emotionally overdrawn, the quiet frustration you feel, the low-level irritation at people you love, the numbness when good things happen and you can't fully feel them, that strange emptiness even when you're surrounded by people. That is the emotional bill arriving with interest, and your body's been sending invoices the whole time. When you keep your face calm and your voice soft, while your emotions are boiling, your body goes into overdrive. Higher stress, increased blood pressure, muscle tension that never releases, headaches, stomach issues your body is carrying, the conflict your mouth won't. You think you're avoiding drama, you're not. You're just hosting it privately in your nervous system 24/7. So I ask you now, who benefits from that arrangement? The people who get your steady present, your endless listening, your controlled reaction, or you? The one paying with anxiety, insomnia, resentment, and a fading sense of self on the surface. You look calm, reliable, the rock underneath. You're in a constant argument with yourself, debating every need, every boundary, every emotion you're about to silence. But the truth is, this can't go on forever long term. Self-silencing doesn't just disappear, it erupts or it shuts down. That out-of-nowhere breakup, that sudden emotional freeze, that urge to run away from your own life, it's not random. It's your system refusing to pay anymore. And in the next part, we're going to talk about what happens when you finally stop paying with your health and start paying attention instead. So when you stop paying with your health and start paying attention, you hit a crossroads, because here's the shift. What do you actually do with that awareness? Do you disappear from everyone's life? Or do you finally appear in your own? This is not about ghosting every person who drains you. It's about ghosting the version of you that never had a boundary. This is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming honest. You don't need to turn into a stone wall to protect your energy. You need to stop being the open door that never closes, never questions, never says, "This is too much for me." Stop and think. You were trained to believe that choosing yourself means abandoning people who taught you that usually it was spoken through guilt. You're selfish. You've changed after everything I've done for you. But the truth is, choosing yourself is not excluding others. It's including yourself. Equal weight, equal value, your needs on the table next to theirs, not hidden under it. Picture this. Every time you make a decision, you ask one extra question. Where am I in this? Not just, will they be upset or will they still like me? But what does this cost my body, my sleep, my emotion, my peace? That one question quietly shifts control back into your hands. You stop being a reaction to other people's demands and start being a presence that also counts. There's a concept Jung called individuation. Sounds complex. Here's what it actually is. Becoming who you really are instead of who you were trained to be to keep the peace. That's it. The slow removal of the mask you built in childhood. The agreeable mask, the calm mask, the I'm fine mask that kept you safe in rooms where your real feelings were not welcome. For calm people, individuation doesn't look dramatic. It looks like your inner world finally leaking through the cracks. You start saying, "That hurt." You say, "I disagree." You say, "I can't talk right now, I'm exhausted." You let your face show disappointment. You let your voice shake you. Allow your silence to mean, "I need space," instead of rushing to fill every gap with reassurance. So no one feels uncomfortable at first. It feels like you're being cruel. You're not. You're just not editing yourself to protect everyone else's comfort. You are learning that a boundary is not aggression. It's self-respect. That a delayed reaction is not emotional distance. It's emotional regulation. That your withdrawal from chaos is not punishment. It's protection. So I ask you now, you've spent years being the safe place for everyone else. When do you become a safe place for yourself? In the next part, we're going to talk about how your silence, your distance, your conscious unavailability stop being a trauma response and start becoming your greatest power. You've been taught that silence means surrender, that if you don't answer, you're guilty. If you don't explain, you're cold. If you don't perform, you've abandoned them. But stop and think. What if the most powerful move you have is not another argument, not another speech, but your decision to say nothing at all? Here's the truth. Not all silence is the same. There is reactive silence. This is when you shut down, when your throat closes, when you go blank because your nervous system is overwhelmed. You freeze, you stonewall, you disappear inside yourself while your body stays in the room. That silence is driven by fear and old conditioning, not by control. Then there's conscious silence. You are present. You feel the emotion. You notice the urge to defend, justify, over-explain, and you choose not to. You don't argue about your boundary. You don't write a 3-page text to prove you're a good person. You let your no exist without a performance. This silence is not absence. It is deliberate presence. It's you refusing to spend your energy where there is no respect. So I ask you now, how many times have you kept an argument alive just by explaining yourself to someone who never intended to understand you? When you keep talking to people who benefit from you having no boundary, you're still playing their game. You think you're negotiating. You're actually proving that your limits are flexible, that your calm can be pushed until it breaks. Watch what happens next. Arguments often protect the old power dynamic as long as you are reacting. They still have access to your attention, your presence, your emotional labor when you stop reacting, when you choose silence. Their control mechanism fails. They cannot pull your strings if you don't move. So what does it look like when you stop being instantly available? You don't answer every call. You don't reply to every message in seconds. You don't rush to fix every emotion that explodes around you. You let people sit in their own discomfort, in their own consequences, in their own emptiness. What happens then? The people who are using your calm as a tool suddenly have a problem. Withdrawal becomes powerful when it comes from awareness, not avoidance. This is not about running from conflict. It's about refusing pointless conflict that only drains you. You step back to protect your energy, not to erase yourself. You turn off the phone and off, not in panic, but in peace. You walk away from the debate you already had. 10 times you allow the silence to expose who only valued you when you were endlessly available. But here's what takes discipline: to pause before the reaction, to feel the trigger and still choose silence, to let your boundaries stand without a mask of fake niceness. In the next part, we're going to go deeper into what happens inside other people when you do this, when your silence forces them to face themselves instead of hiding behind your constant response. So now that you know what your silence can do to other people, we need to ask a harder question. What is it doing to you? Because I'm talking to you. The one who never explodes. The one who always understands. The one who cries alone in the shower so nobody has to deal with it. You call it being mature. being the bigger person, being low drama. But the truth is, half the time you are not calm. You are in exile. Your emotion is locked behind your teeth while your mind is on fire. You smile, you nod, you say, "It's fine." Inside, your nervous system is sprinting a marathon in circles. So I ask you now, how long will you keep saying yes when your whole body is screaming no? How long will you keep calming everyone else while your own mind is burning down? How long will you keep being the safe place for people who are not a safe place for you? Stop and think about that. Here's the truth. You are not just nice. You are trained, conditioned, programmed. Somewhere along the line, you learned that your safety depended on your silence. Research calls it fawning, appeasing, but you call it survival. You learned to read every micro-emotion in the room to predict the explosion before it came to neutralize it with your own self-abandonment. But here's what's actually happening. Imagine if we could see the strings not on your hands or your feet, but on your reactions. Invisible threads made of guilt, fear of rejection, fear of being too much. Someone hints they're disappointed, and the guilt string pulls your mouth into an apology. Someone goes quiet, and the fear string jerks you into over-explaining. Someone sighs, and suddenly you're performing calm, reassuring, endlessly available again. You think you are choosing peace, but the truth is your reactions are being pulled. You are the puppet, and the show is keep everyone else stable so they don't abandon me. Every time you ignore your own boundary to protect their comfort, you hand them the strings again. You give away your energy, your control, your presence, and then wonder why you feel hollow. So what does freedom look like? It looks strange at first. It looks like becoming a mystery, less readable, less guaranteed, less emotionally on demand. It means people can no longer predict your reaction just by poking your old wounds. It means your silence is not automatic compliance. It's conscious choice. This is not about turning cold. It's about turning real, about letting your mask slip, letting your perfectly calm persona lose its grip, about being willing to disappoint people who only loved you as long as you were easy to control. And here is the question that should unsettle you. What if the real you isn't the endlessly calm one at all? What if the real you is the one you locked away to survive? In the next part, we're going to trace exactly where that lock came from and who taught you to hide in the first place. That lock didn't appear by magic. It was built brick by brick, year after year. So stop and think, where did you first learn that your safest move was to disappear into calm? Picture this. You grow up in a house where one parent is a storm doors slam, voices explode, everyone walks on eggshells around their mood. You watch what happens when someone talks back, cries, or even sighs too loudly, punishment, mockery, cold withdrawal for days, so you adapt. You become quiet. You become good. You make your presence small so their reaction stays small, or it looks like this. You grow up in a home that looks stable from the outside, but inside, emotion is a crime. You get told, stop being dramatic. Don't cry. You're too sensitive. Every time your nervous system dares to show itself, you learn that your tears embarrass people, your anger offends them, your needs inconvenience them. So you don't stop feeling, you just stop showing. The mask goes on early. Here's the truth. A lot of what you call calm is actually highly trained self-suppression. As a child, you were praised for it. You're so mature, you're so easy, you're no trouble. It sounded like love. It felt like approval. But the truth is, they weren't admiring your true self. They were admiring how little energy you demanded from them. You learned that your value was in being low maintenance, in being endlessly available, endlessly understanding, endlessly patient, while other people took up all the emotional space. Here's the shift. The less you needed, the safer you were. The less you reacted, the more they relaxed. So your nervous system made a deal. You abandon your own emotion, and in exchange, you get a fragile sense of control. This is the fawning response dressed up as a personality. You appease, you agree, you nod, you soothe. You make excuses for people who hurt you, not because you are naturally saintly, but because your body remembers what happens when you are not being calm, agreeable emotionally. Low maintenance kept you safer, more loved, or at least less targeted. It was survival, not serenity, and society reinforced it. Be polite, don't make a scene, respond quickly, be helpful, be understanding, don't be dramatic. From school to work, from family to relationships, you were rewarded every time you swallowed your reaction and punished every time you showed it. So I ask you now, how much of your peaceful presence is just a lifelong performance pattern? Interrupt. You weren't born calm. You were trained to be convenient. This is not about you being not about you. Naturally wise, it's about you being systematically conditioned to turn your chaos inward so other people could stay comfortable, conditioned to equate silence with safety and boundaries with danger. So where does that leave you? Now a master of keeping everyone else regulated while your own inner world burns in secret. In the next part, we're going to take that training apart and ask a harder question. What happens when the convenient version of you finally refuses to show up? When that convenient version of you refuses to show up, something very revealing happens. The room doesn't just get quieter, it gets nervous. Because here's a truth nobody tells the easygoing ones. Your availability is not just a virtue, it can be your prison. Stop and think about how your life is structured. Right now, you're the one who always answers, always listens, always keeps a cool tone, while other people fall apart. They call you when they're spiraling, when they've fought with their partner, when work is a mess, when their emotions are overflowing and they need somewhere to pour them, and you become the container, calm, stable, predictable. But here's what that does. That predictability turns you into an emotional emergency button. They press you when they need comfort. They press you when they need validation. They press you when they need distraction, a ride, a favor, a late night talk, a quiet presence that absorbs all the chaos they don't want to hold. Then, when the crisis is over, they put you back on the shelf like a tool they've finished using. Now, slow this down. Watch the cycle. When they are in crisis, they need you. Immediately text, blow up your phone. Are you free? Can we talk? I really need you. Your calm becomes their oxygen. But when you are the one struggling quietly, when your energy is low, when your chest is tight and your mind won't stop racing, suddenly they're busy, distant, confused that you even have needs. So I ask you now, how many times have you minimized your own pain because the people around you only know you as the strong one, the rock, the calm presence that never cracks? Research on fawning shows your nervous system has been trained to choose appeasing over confrontation as a way to stay safe. But in real life, it looks like you apologizing for having emotions rushing to say, it's fine, while your nervous system is screaming that it is not fine at all. Here's the trap. Your predictability has become a liability when people know you will always answer, always show up, always stay calm. They stop seeing it as a gift and start seeing it as a given. Your presence stops having value because it costs them nothing, no effort, no reciprocity, no real curiosity about what is happening behind your mask. This is the damage. This is not about you being nice. It's about you being on call. You're not just available, you're on demand. And that destroys balance. It keeps you trapped in a role where your silence protects everyone except you, where your boundaries feel like a threat to others because they were never there to relate to your humanity, only to your function. So what happens when the easygoing one finally stops being easy to reach, watch who panics. That panic tells you everything about why they were really there, but we haven't talked yet about the most dangerous reaction of all. Not their panic, yours, that panic in you when you pull back, when you don't answer, when you finally say no. That is not random, that is the nervous system of someone who has built their entire identity on one thing: abandoning themselves first, so no one else abandons them. Stop and think, how many times have you left yourself to stay available for someone else's chaos? You were exhausted, but you picked up. You were hurt, but you listened. You were angry, but you smiled and said, "It's fine, I understand." On the surface, it looks like kindness, loyalty, strength. But the truth is, it's a subtle form of self-abandonment that you have been practicing for years. You learn to call it being mature, being the bigger person, being calm. Here's why that label is so dangerous, because it hides the real motive underneath. There is approval seeking, there is the terror of rejection, there is the fear that if you show real emotion, people will leave, attack, or explode. So you control the only thing you think you can control: your reaction, your silence, your mask of stability. Now here's what actually happens in your body. Your emotional energy operates like money in a bank account when you stay calm on the outside. While you burn on the inside, you're making withdrawals you can't afford. Blood pressure rises, stress hormones climb. Every time you spend that limited energy calming someone who never asks how you are, you're making a deposit into a black hole. No interest, no return, just emptiness. And here's the real damage: not everyone who wants your presence actually wants you. Some people want your listening, not your truth, your validation, not your boundaries, your stability, not your needs. They use you as a distraction from their own emptiness, as a mirror that reflects back a soothing image of themselves while you disappear a little more each time. So I ask you now, when you rush to answer the late-night crisis call, when you read the 12-paragraph rant, when you become the therapist, the parent, the emotional paramedic, who is there when you collapse? Who notices when your voice goes quiet? Not because you are calm, but because you are drowning. This is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming accurate. Who actually deserves your time, your attention, your calm presence? The ones who are also calm with you, who ask, "How are you really?" Who respect your boundary without punishment when you say, "I can't talk right now." But here's the second question you avoid: who deserves your absence? Who deserves your silence, your non-response, your conscious unavailability, so you can protect your sanity? Because until you decide that your energy will keep leaking into relationships that only survive if you stay self-abandoned, in the next part, we will go deeper into that decision and what actually happens inside you the first time you choose you and let the fallout happen. And what actually happens inside you the first time you choose you and let the fallout happen is this: the fake calm starts to crack and the real you walks in. So stop and think, why are calm people often carrying the most internal conflict? I'll tell you why. Because they were trained to be the battlefield instead of the fighter, trained to hold everyone's emotion, absorb every reaction, swallow every word, while their own nervous system burns in silence. That's not peace. That's self-destruction wearing a polite mask. Look back at the path you walked. Childhood taught you to be available, to be easy, to be low drama. You learned that your safety depended on keeping other people calm, so you became the emotional shock absorber. You fawned, you pleased, you smiled, you pushed your own anger down, you buried your needs. You turned your anxiety into productivity and your fear into perfectionism. On the outside, you looked stable. On the inside, you were in pieces. Then the bill arrived. Suppressed emotion became tension in your chest, headaches, insomnia. Chronic self-silencing turned into resentment and burnout. You became the rock for everyone, while secretly wondering who would ever be a rock for you. How long did you call that maturity when it was actually exile from your own inner world? How long did you confuse being calm with being absent from yourself? Here's the truth. Real calm is not the absence of visible emotion. Real calm is the presence of inner alignment, your outside and your inside finally matching your voice, matching your values, your boundaries, matching your energy. And yes, that alignment will make some people deeply uncomfortable, especially the ones who only loved you as long as you stayed quiet and endlessly available. So I ask you now, do you want to keep being the battlefield, or do you want to become the fighter? This is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming honest. Not about rejecting connection, but reclaiming control over who gets access to your presence, your silence, your attention. The real shift from fake calm that costs you your health to grounded calm that is built on self-respect. Now try this. Just this week. One situation, a place where you usually stay silently calm while you are hurting inside. Instead of performing your usual role, sit down alone, pick up a pen and write. Write what you actually feel. Write what you wish you could say. Without editing, without shrinking, without managing anyone else's reaction. You don't have to send it. You don't have to confront anyone yet. But the moment you put your inner world into words, you stop abandoning yourself. That page becomes the first boundary, the first proof that your experience matters even if nobody else sees it. Because you were never meant to be everyone's emotional shelter. While you freeze outside in your own storm, you were never meant to trade your soul for the illusion of being easy to love. Stay with this work and start becoming the kind of calm that doesn't cost you your soul. The kind of calm that stands, that speaks, that chooses you first, and lets the world adjust or fall away.